Yo guys, what is going on? It is Invin here, and today what I'm bringing to you all is a video breakdown of the July dev update video that New World have just released. Now this video starts to go over all of the content that we're currently seeing in the PTR, as well as some of the upcoming stuff. They also touch on a few things that are coming in the near future as well, so some very exciting stuff to cover here in today's video. What I'm going to do is basically go through and break down some of the most important points for you guys in as quick time period as I can. So that does mean some of the detail is going to be lost, so obviously if you do want to watch the full video, I will leave that linked down below as well, so you can go ahead and watch their full video for that one too. So first things first then, they started off their video by talking about the Summer Medleyfaire, which is of course the brand new summer event we're going to be seeing across Aeternum, which is currently in the PTR. And, of course, the Barnacles and Blackpowder new expedition, as well as the brand new Group Finder feature, which, let's be honest, is game-changing for New World. Now, they also spoke about the Group Finder in specific, saying that it is currently on the same server, but one point that they did want to kind of expand on was that they are going to look at putting this into maybe expanding, is what they said. So whether that's going to be regionally or just a few servers in the same cluster, whatever, we don't know yet, but this is going to be in the future. They didn't say near future, far future, they just said at some point. So let's hope that that comes along sooner rather than later, as I think that would be a really cool feature, but it is something they're already working toward, which is great. Now again, they kind of went over the perfect salvage system, which again I've spoke about in previous videos, so I'm not going to go into the details about, but obviously that being in the game is something very cool, especially for endgame players and kind of the system that it provides. Also, they spoke about the dual stat. So the dual stat, for those of you that didn't know, overall gave 5 additional attribute points compared to a pure stat item, but obviously it was split between one would have 3 extra and one would have 2 extra, which still brought it up to be less than what you would get from one stat as a pure stat item by quite a lot. However, overall, you'd be getting more between the two. So that was something they tried as an experimental feature. However, they didn't like the way it worked. They took on community feedback and essentially decided to pull that from the update. It's not ready to do yet. We tested it on the PTR and it just wasn't really working, especially with crafting and the way that timeless shards kind of fit into the game, in terms of you can craft something single stat, then making dual stat items potentially the new meta kind of put timeless shards redundant. So until that's kind of reworked a little bit, or at least they add in maybe timeless shards for dual stats or something along that lines, they have pulled that from the update. So that is no longer going to be in the July build or probably subsequent builds, at least for the time being. So maybe we'll see that in the future. Now, the next thing they touched on was Expedition Gold earned is now only going to be reduced by 50% of the current amount that it is on the live version. Now, this obviously was reduced by quite a significant amount initially in the patch notes for the PTR, and this was with the intention of kind of limiting the amount of gold farming you could do from expeditions, with obviously no expedition orbs being required. However, they don't want to waste the player's time too much, so it's going to be reduced by 50%, but obviously with a vastly increased ability to run more of these expeditions per week. And on top of that as well, they did add the brand new way that you're going to be able to get 1,000 gold, which is either by closing the breaches. You always get it from the major ones. The minor ones have like a 50% chance per one that you do, and then obviously opening an elite chest is the other way that you can get this per day. And again, I think that's rewarding kind of variety gameplay, which is really good. And I think really, by the time they end up fleshing out the end game a little bit more, maybe adding in some extra expertise levels or whatever they do in the future, and players come back to this more, I think that that's going to be even better for end game players too, or when they add in some new activities in these elite zones or with these breaches that are maybe a little bit more lucrative. As we know, with the removal of the expedition orbs, the corrupted silver is not as useful as it used to be. It is still going to be used for a few things, but it's not going to be quite the same level as needed as before. So maybe when they add something else in for this will be a more welcome change, but it's nice that it is still there for now, which I think is great for all players. Now, they also touched on upcoming events. Obviously, the IRL events, firstly, is going to be the EU TwitchCon, and then the San Diego TwitchCon, which will be in the USA afterwards. Now, at the EU TwitchCon, they did say that they're going to do a PvP tournament in real life, like as in person, and there'll be kind of ranking system that you can do, which all the information for that is on the New World website. Basically, you have to sign up on there, and you can go in, and if you go into TwitchCon, you can take part in this, and the person who wins first place will have a flight to San Diego TwitchCon to be able to go and visit that one as well, which is very cool indeed. Lots of New World kind of merch and stuff like that on up for grabs for the winners, which is very cool. Again, check that out on the New World website if you're interested, if you're going to be going to the EU TwitchCon. But they also spoke a lot about the in-game events, which is going to be things like they're doing crazy spawns, so pigs spawning in randomly, giant pigs, admins flying around and all stuff like that, which they're doing every Friday on the PTR. And then they also spoke about the whole Summer Medley event, and particularly that this will actually have double XP for both fishing and the brand new music trade skill when it comes onto the live servers, which is amazing. Again, if you're anything like me, you've not done too much fishing. I got a little bit in over the double XP weekends that we've just been having, but nothing too major, I'll be honest. However, I do really like it on the PTR in conjunction with this event and the kind of amount of catch type stations they've got going on. It's been actually quite a lot of fun, so I think I might get into it a little bit, especially if double XP is active for that. And of course, leveling up the brand new music trade skill is going to be something a lot of players are interested in, so that's great. I really like that incorporation. And of course, the devs and community managers will be joining the event and playing with the players on the live servers when that drops as well, which is another very cool dimension to this. Now, they spoke a lot more about the Summer Medleyfaire and essentially the origins of it, how they created it, how they came up with the ideas. Personally, I absolutely love the seasonal events here in Aeternum and New World, and I think it's what helps to set New World apart from other games, even in the same genre or other genres. And although some other games do maybe do similar type events or some sort of summer events, this real summer event that New World kind of give is just very unique, and they've even added a brand new summer quest, which is from the Music Maestro, which is of course the host for this kind of summer medley fair. Starts off, the dance floor is pretty barren, you'll notice that when you go in, but as you progress through his quest line, as well as earning yourself the tokens for the rewards, you will also interact with NPCs, complete the quest with those, and then they will start to join the dance floor and start dancing there, so that every time you go back to the fair, those NPCs are there, which I actually think is a really, really cool kind of progression type element, and something that New World could tap into very much so in the future, because that is something very, very cool indeed. So I really like that idea. And again, obviously, like I said, rewards, they talked about that and said, well, you know, they've kind of taken the feedback from previous events, namely, you know, the Winter Convergence, and added some more skins, some more decorations, and some more different types of rewards to the Summer Medley Fair. Again, I went through this briefly in a video up on the channel, so if you do want to check it out, you can go ahead and watch that video, which talks about this a little bit more in depth than what I am doing now. But essentially, there is a lot more skins for both musical instruments, tools, and fishing rods, particularly, obviously, to fit in with the event, as well as some armor skins and that sort of stuff. And personally, I've really enjoyed looking through those, and do certainly want to be earning a lot of them when they come onto the live servers, as well as, of course, this season's bunny rabbit pet for your house. So overall, very cool. They then again went into a bit more detail and spoke about Barnacles and Blackpowder, specifically the new boss fights, which I think is with great reason. I've played through this, and again, I've done a first reactions video on the channel here, which was a previous video to this one. Really, really enjoyed Barnacles and Blackpowder as an expedition. The more I'm playing through it on the PTR, the more I'm kind of getting into it, and I'm actually thinking it's probably maybe my favourite expedition. Now, the first boss that is in there, the Admiral, he's very, very cool. He is definitely my favourite expedition boss out of all of them in New World. I do like Aeternum just because of the challenge, but the Admiral has got some very unique mechanics. You've got to dodge the cannonballs he fires. He jumps up onto a platform. While you're dodging those cannonballs, he's firing down in certain lines that move across the arena. You've got to pick up cannonballs off the floor, load them into the cannon, jump on the cannon and shoot him, and that's got to be done several times by multiple players, or one player's got to put in a lot of effort to do that. And it is a very, very cool interaction with the boss fight that kind of breaks it up a little bit, but also keeps everybody involved, which I really, really like. And for that reason, I would say it's my favourite one so far, so they did a fantastic job with that one. Now again, obviously, for those of you that have played it, we know the final boss in Barnacles and Blackpowder has an exceptionally cool design and aesthetic. The abilities are amazing. They talked about how it's a water storm creature, and I don't want to spoil it too much for anybody that hasn't played, but it is very, very cool. The arena is super unique, and I think it finishes up the kind of like little side story quest type environment that this kind of expedition encompasses in that area when you defeat that mob as well, which is very, very cool. Now, they also want to talk about the 3 new mutations, which again, we kind of knew this previously from the PTR patch notes, but it was nice that they mentioned that one again as well, so I'm not going to go into detail there, but spoke about those. And then finally, they finished up the kind of dev update video with talking about combat weapon balance. Specifically, they touched on the bow, which I know a lot of you guys were wondering about. With this one, what they said is that they've probably done a little bit more tuning than they needed to, making it a bit too good in some aspects of the game. So with the stats to back it up, they basically said OPR is really, really shining through. through. In Arena, it's okay, but not really that great, and PvE, not really that great either. So they're seeing how they can balance it a little bit more in OPR while maybe giving it a little bit of a boost in PvE or something like that. Again, it's the same for all weapons, and things are constantly and fluidly changing, which means nothing is set in stone. So if a change does happen that players don't like, they are listening to feedback and will change it, which is great. Not a lot of games do that, so you have to give them credit for it. It's amazing that they still continue to listen to feedback and change things consistently. They didn't like the stun lock combo that the Sword and Shield had, particularly I think that's in reference to the Blunderbuss one-shot that was stunning with Sword and Shield and then jumping on with the other weapons. So they've removed that option from the game. They've essentially changed the way that the stuns work with leaping strikes so that you can't combo all of them together. That is really, really good in my opinion. Again, the player base seemed to really disagree with that being in there. The devs were the same. They've removed it quickly and replaced it with a suitable alternative, which is great as well. They haven't just got rid of it and left Sword and Shield players kind of in a mess. They've got rid of it in a great way. Also, massive update to the hatchet throwing tree. Again, I have covered this in a video, but the throwing tree is now going to be absolutely nuts. If you haven't seen that video, definitely go and watch it. It's looking like the hatchet throwing tree could be the new meta for a lot of situations. It looks really, really cool. And in the future, they are going to be looking at equip loads, whether this is light, heavy, or medium. But of course, right now they're saying light is pretty much in a good spot. The dodge is nice. The bonus damage is really great. Heavy is okay in PvE, but isn't really great after that. It's far too sluggish for PvP, which I absolutely strongly agree with. And, you know, there should be an experimental change for this coming into the next PTR, so we can try out some of the changes and ideas that they have for the equip loads, how they're going to work and how they're going to change it going forward. So obviously any ideas on that, drop them in the comments below. And finally then, they are also looking at blocking, especially in PvP, because again, we're in a very heavy dodge meta right now. Nobody really blocks unless you've got a sword and shield and you're a tank. Even then, dodging is still far superior. So again, in an upcoming PTR, we will see a new system / changes that we're going to be seeing with regards to blocking, whether they're going to change how it works, they're going to change the function of it, or they're going to change something to do. Maybe I think there's going to be a crossover with equip loads and blocking durability or blocking stance. Maybe they could add in something like a perfect block, which if you time it exactly as the strike is going to hit you, you'll stun the enemy, something along those lines. Who knows? There's a whole host of opportunities. So again, any ideas you've got what you'd like to see in regard to blocking, how it could be changed or updated to make it better, drop that in the comments down below as well. And that is pretty much what they covered in this dev update video. So I'm going to leave my video here for today. Hopefully you've enjoyed this little breakdown and run through. If you have, please do be sure to drop me a like on today's video. And if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe to the channel. Both those things hugely help to support me and my content, so I'd really, really appreciate that. Other than that, guys, I will be back at you very, very shortly with another update video as soon as we get some more news and updates here from New World. Other than that, thanks for your time, thanks for watching, and I will catch you very shortly on the next one. Take care and peace.